Hot off the press. Served to you fresh. We present to you local and international newspaper headlines for the day with in-depth analysis from seasoned professionals. Start your day the right way on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Nigeria Info.
Well, the best way to start your day every day is on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And if you've been here with us since 6 a.m., well, you've been the best ever. If you're just joining us, you're still the best. You don't get you're not on the merit list. You're on the supplementary
You're
list.
still the best anyway.
Yeah, you're still the best. You're still the best. You still got the admission. Welcome to the front pages. It's time to look at the stories making it across the dailies today. We'll be doing this together with you. You can watch us anywhere you are on Facebook, YouTube, Nigeria Info 993, and leave us a comment. Also on WhatsApp 08095 975805. You can also reach us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and let us know your thoughts on our conversation starting now. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I am Sheriff Quadry. Rotimi Sankore joins us in the studio this morning. Rotimi, good morning to you.
Morning.
This morning,
someone told me, I think last week,
right.
Sheriff was looking like a school principal. Today, Wemimo is looking like a principal.
How do principals look?
Okay. I don't know what to
I'm
say
not
to
even
that.
wearing a jacket. What do they wear?
I don't know. I really
They
don't
put
know.
roses on their tops?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Okay. All right. Hello, Principal. Good morning to you, ma. We have daily independence
Assembly
in the studio.
time! All right.
Well, we have assembled newspapers on the table.
Uh-huh.
Daily Independent is here. Vanguard is here. The Punch as well. Daily Sun also on the table.
And here have the Guardian, our media partner, the New Telegraph, the Daily Trust, the Nation newspaper, and This Day. Let's kickstart with the Guardian. Reps reject 6-year single tenure for president, governors, and others. Reps reject 6-year single tenure for president, governors, and others. Probe alleged 2.3 billion NSITF fraud. Query missing 1.2 billion NRC fund. Lawmakers threaten to sue ICPC. Why? We'll get into that in a moment. The New Telegraph also has a story. Reps reject 6-year single tenure for president, governors, and legislators. Maybe I would have liked it, just maybe. Daily Trust also here. Reps reject 6-year single term for president, governors, and legislature. It's also on the Nation newspaper and also This Day newspaper.
It's here on the front page of Daily Independent newspaper. Senate moves. Okay. That's not it. Reps reject bill in favor of 6-year term for president's governors. Daily Independent newspaper. Similar one from the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. Reps reject bill seeking 6-year single tenure for president's governors, others. Vanguard for you. It's on the front page of the Punch as well. Reps block proposed 6-year single term for president, governors. That's how the Punch has the headline.
Well, the bill was sponsored by Honorable John Dyeg. I hope that I called that name right. D-Y-E-G-H. Call that, please.
D-Y.
E-G-H.
Okay.
Yeg.
Yes, just go
Okay.
on.
It's from
Just
APC
go
in
on.
Benue. I don't know how to call all of those consonants. Leading debate on the general principles of the bill, Dyeg informed that the need for the proposed legislation was born out of the fact that a single term, especially for federal and state lawmakers, will allow them to have more experience instead of being rejected or re-elected every 4 years. The bill was seconded by Honorable Olajide Abdul Rahim, APC Lagos, and he argued that since 1999, the percentage of new members who lack institutional experience in lawmaking have been on the rise, which he reasoned is having a negative effect on the national and state houses of assembly. According to him, some lawmakers have not been retained beyond a single term, adding that lawmakers require longer period in the parliament to garner experience. Rotimi?
Honestly, it's neither here nor there, but some people would say that this was the kite for third term for president and governors.
I think this card has been played before.
Yeah, because anytime somebody introduces something like this, they will say, well, since the constitution has been amended, this 6-year term is technically going to be the first term. So
Right.
the other two don't count.
What?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how people have done it.
It's been played before. Yeah.
It's not only in Nigeria.
What
Not in
kind of
Nigeria.
play is that?
It's not only
It's
in
not in
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Anytime people
Yes.
sneak in this
Yes.
kind of thing. So
It's been played before.
So
yeah.
some people will say good riddance to bad rubbish, but actually it's an opportunity to talk about tenure. Look, having lived in countries that practice parliamentary democracy, especially in Europe, my experience really is that parliamentary democracies are much better and cost less because you don't have all this executive, presidency, governors,
Right.
with all these multiple assistants, advisors, and far too much power. In fact, with the parliamentary system, even if in principle it's expected that you will spend 4 years, if within the first 1 year you are messing up, a simple vote of no confidence
Right. And
Send
you're out.
you out of the
parliament
door.
sends
You're
you out, and reset button is
Right.
pushed. So everybody behaves themselves better. The idea that you will be there for 4 years and people will suffer.
They can't do anything until the next 4 years.
Look at a lot of governors that we have. Quite frankly, citizens of those states are going to suffer miserably for 4 years while those fellows are there.
Would it have worked? If,
A
let's
parliamentary
say-
system.
No, a single year, 6-year, single term.
Oh, no,
Would it have
no,
worked
no.
in our context? Yeah?
No, because they will just enter there and start looting from day one with executive power on the understanding that they are not coming back. At least there is still incentive that they may want to do second term.
So if you make it a
Oh
single
gosh,
6-year.
disaster
But
all around.
we've not seen any
With-
change. That's why them believing that they would come back. I
Right.
mean, it's always this assurance that the people would vote for me once I settle them anyway. So
Well,
why not make it
technically,
one single term? Just get out of the place. and go.
technically, look, there are arguments for both, but the incentive of returning at least spurs some people to perform. But like I said, parliamentary system, cheaper, more efficient, closer to the citizens. You can't be a minister unless you are a member of parliament in parliamentary.
Right.
So if you are a minister of power and you don't deliver, your constituency knows what to do.
Maybe we should be looking at
Absolutely.
the parliamentary system and also making the process of recall easier. So if you're not impressed with your lawmaker or with your governor or with your whatever, it's easier. But the process is so hard now.
With parliamentary system, if your constituency is 80 or 100,000 people, and you are a minister, you are a front bench, you are a minister, you are misbehaving, everybody knows what to do.
Right.
The recall is easier in parliamentary, but even if you are not recalled, you will not return for another term as a member of parliament
Right.
because you've misbehaved miserably as a minister of health, power, education, or whatever.
Would you say that we're not patient enough with our democracy right now at this stage of
We
our
have been
democratic
more than patient.
Over. You know when cake is overbaked? We're over.
I think Nigerians are overly patient with politicians. This thing where they do, you misbehave and then you flaunt your ill-gotten
Your wealth.
wealth. Nigerians are overly patient.
Well, let's see our next story. Buhari signs 10.59 trillion naira 2020 budget on his birthday. By the way, that's not part of the headline.
No, it's not.
I just added
It's
it. Daily Trust also has a similar story. Buhari signs 2020 budget on the Daily Trust and also on the New Telegraph. And there's a photo on these papers showing the president signing. Buhari signs 10.954 trillion naira 2020 budget into law. It's everywhere practically.
Yeah, everywhere.
It's
Absolutely.
everywhere. Happy birthday to the president in arrears.
I have a picture
That
of
was the birthday gift to the
president.
nation. So
cutting his cake yesterday.
Some people said the president is looking very healthy and very young.
it's been looking very fresh.
And some people responded that yes, if you can fly to London to go
Regularly.
and fix your earache, and leave your job for many months,
You should look good.
Yes,
It's actually looking fresh.
So, but let's set that aside. I mean, there are a lot of other things that were said about his birthday. Some hilarious. I mean, some people were outrightly rude and suggested that it was football age.
Yeah. Yeah.
But look, seriously about the budget. So it's good that we have a January to December budget. I mean, that's part of restoring order
Right.
to the process. I mean, broadly speaking, the budgets have taken 2 months to 5 months to pass since 1999. So I think this is a record. But having said that, that on its own is not good enough. Budgets are statement of priority
Right.
meant to solve problems. If the budget does not solve major problems, then the restoration of order in itself is just mere process. And my favorite example is education, because that's what nations are built on.
Right.
So if by the government figures there are 10 million kids out of school, does the budget solve that problem? If the budget doesn't solve that problem and an estimated 8 million are born a year, by 2020, 21, 25, 26, that problem will be, say out of that 8 million being born a year, maybe only 2, 3, 4 million are able to go to school. In another 6 years, we could have easily added another 12 million children to that.
And like we said on
What
this
is
show
the
before,
significance?
even if the budget does not solve it, does it propose a plan to resolve the issue?
There should be a multi-year
Yeah.
plan, and we know that in 3 or 4 years the problem is solved. So if the budget does not begin to solve it now, all that is going to happen is a disaster, because the out-of-school kids of the past that the country was not able to educate, those are the kids who have spent billions of dollars fighting as
Right.
extremists in the Northeast
Right.
or as bandits in the Northwest. Imagine if we start having equivalent number in Lagos, for instance, where urban gangs are already reigning.
And it's
Right.
starting.
If you add another 2, 3, 4, 5 million in Lagos, those gang called 1 million boys, right now is just aspirational. If they actually 1 million in Lagos, I mean, what's the police going to do about it?
We're done for,
Yeah.
actually. We're
So
done for.
if the budget, if you look at the budget and you calculate 10 million kids at class size of 25, that's about 330,000 classrooms. That's about 13,000 schools. Will that budget even dent it? Will it build 2,000 or 3,000 schools?
Are we even starting to
Are
solve
we
the
even
problem?
starting? Yes, with the teachers, with their, if it's not, then it's just mere restoration of proper process and
Right.
nothing else.
Quickly now, let's move on to our next story. Quite an interesting one. $29.96 billion loan bid. I can't sit and watch Buhari squander our children's future. That's credited to Atiku on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Similar headline can be seen on the front page of Daily Independent newspaper. It's a banner on the front page of Daily Independent. $30 billion loan. Endless borrowing will lead to endless sorrow. Atiku. It comes with 2 riders. Says it's irresponsible to take further loans. Calls on youth to lobby lawmakers against borrowing. Daily Independent newspaper.
It's also the ban on The Guardian. Article warns against borrowing as Buhari signed 10.59 trillion naira budget. There are 3 riders on The Guardian. We will deliver promises to Nigerians, President vows. Organized private sector urges caution over execution. Condemnation trails a 37 billion naira renovation vote for Aso Rock. That's different from the renovation of the Senate,
National Assembly.
Assembly. Someone sent me a tweet yesterday and said he personally supervised the building of a rice seedling factory and they spent less than 1 billion naira. And he says, imagine if we built such across the country.
Wow.
It tagged me in
A
one
rice
post.
factory.
Rice seedling factory for less than $1 billion, and 37 billion naira is going for
Just for
renovation.
Oh,
Well,
my.
on the New Telegraph, also 30 billion naira dollar loan. Buhari borrowing away Nigeria's future, says Atiku, right here. Rotimi.
Well, Atiku is the leader of the opposition.
Right.
That's his official role. So it's within his rights to make comments. I know that, say, Baba supporters will now start saying, he lost the election, he should keep quiet.
He's
and
just
wait.
pinning him.
Yeah, but that's not how democracy works.
No, at all.
In a democracy, the leader of the opposition,
Tackles.
the person's job is to tackle the government's policies
Right.
on a daily basis. In fact, part of the problem we have in Nigeria is that once elections are over,
Everybody
the
goes to
opposition
sleep.
goes to sleep
Yeah.
or finds a way to cross carpets into the ruling
Into the
party,
ruling party.
so that they can join in sharing the cake.
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason,
Right.
if the leader of the opposition in Nigeria is saying things that sometimes may make sense, sometimes may not, he's the leader of the opposition, no one should hold it against him. What we would appreciate, though, is what would have been his alternative if he was president. It's not just good enough to say,
Don't do it.
don't do it, it will mortgage our future. I mean, that's easy for anybody to say.
And that's just a lot of sentiment and
Uh-huh.
emotions.
Yeah,
Let's put the facts on
yes,
the table.
let's see data, evidence.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you take it?
Right.
And if you took it, what would you use it for?
And if you wouldn't take it, what would you have done instead?
That's evidence-based opposition with
Right.
data.
Right.
So, but there is something funny going on.
What's
These
it?
billions being
Yeah.
allocated for renovation of NAS, Aso Rock. This is a lot of money.
It looks
Have you,
like they
have you
even
seen?
agreed on the
because-
amount.
because
Rotimi, have you seen House of Commons? Does that look at what you use?
I've been
Well, we're
there.
talking about that.
I've been there so many times.
Does that look like where people sit comfortably?
Interestingly, I was
And-
visiting my aunt over the weekend, and we were watching. They just showed the House of Commons. I was like, "What is this?" I said, "That is the legislature. That is." She's like, "No." I said, "Yeah, that's everybody. Can you see how full it is?" She said, "No tables." I said, "Yeah, that's what the Prime Minister also said,
Right.
because they're there to do."
Since how many
business.
decades it has been like
It's
that?
been
Right.
like that,
Right.
yeah. But we've got these gigantic buildings and.
Look, it's not just that you hear all these huge amounts, 27 billion, 37 billion being used to renovate.
Renovation.
It's also that in the annual budget of both Aso Rock and National Assembly, billions are already allocated annually
For maintenance.
for maintenance.
Year in, year out.
Year in, year out.
So
I
how
mean,
did it depreciate
yeah.
so much that they needed 37
I
billion?
mean, there are
to
even some
renovate?
of those things that you wonder. You do it every year. You see budget line item, 2 billion for rewiring every year. 2 billion
It's
maintenance.
rats. It's rats.
2
It's rats.
billion generator and fuel. 2 billion. Then on top of that again,
You need
this
this
kind
amount?
of amount. Look, I remember when the president went on one of his longest medical vacation. Remember, he came back, couldn't go to his office,
Right.
and they told us that it was being fumigated because rats had taken over. And one of the civic
Embarrassing.
organizations that looks at budget said, but excuse me, there were already some hundreds of
Provisions
millions
for
allocated
these
for
things.
fumigation
Regularly.
regularly. So what happened to that?
But the question now is, this monies have been allocated. Nigerians don't seem to like it, but it looks like there's nothing anybody can do
Oh,
about
look,
it.
peaceful protest is a constitutional right. If you are unhappy that the National Assembly or the presidency is allocating billions
Renovation.
for
Ooh.
renovation, something that could have built schools
Right.
Yeah.
or hospitals, I'm sure one or two of the civic organizations is going to do some
Take this
calculation
up
for
very
us and
soon.
say
Yeah.
that 27 or 37 billion could do XYZ.
Right.
And therefore should be allocated to such immediately. And this attempt at renovation, which is not necessary, should not be pursued any further.
Well, let's see how it goes. There's another headline here. It's across the papers. The Nation has it as a banner. Buhari to aspirants, don't use my name for 2023 bid. President won't compromise electoral process. Aisha Tinubu governors greet Buhari at 77. That's on The Nation. Banner headline also on the Daily Trust. 2023, I will stop desperate politicians, says Buhari. What president should do to succeed? Experts are advising on the Daily Trust. The New Telegraph also has this as the banner headline. Polls, I will frustrate desperate politicians in 2023, says Buhari. Says democratic process is too slow for my liking. PDP says show commitment to electoral reform and not promises. The Guardian also has it. President promises credible polls in 2023. This day banner headline, business leaders upbeat about better economy as Buhari signs 2020 birthday budgets. President preaches patience, patriotism at 77, pledges free, fair, credible 2023 polls. APC governors Gbajabiamila Tinubu greet celebrants.
Is it enough to utter these strong words? I will frustrate desperate politicians. I will stop them. Is it in the president's place?
No, it's...
Is it something he can do?
Well, first of all, with the ones he could have done something, he didn't do anything. The Kogi election, which his party won, is widely acknowledged to have been won by Quadry. Official deployment of AK-47.
Yeah.
I mean, if he couldn't guarantee credible and violence-free
When we had just two
election
states.
in one state, where thousands of police were deployed, and even at the peace rally, where the police boss was, there was violence. How can he guarantee it in 2023 when he's supposed to be on his way out? I mean, by the way, I don't understand the thing with about 2023. You know?
This is just 2019, I mean.
Yes. You know, if he can't guarantee Kogi, how can he guarantee 2023? And who are these desperate politicians? But there is a big statement which Nigerians popularly refer to as body language. When the president of a country says democratic process is too slow
For his liking.
I hope he's not signaling to security agencies and people under his command that
To hasten things up? Or
no,
to...
that they can flout the process.
Are we not already seeing that?
Well, so that's the point. That's why this is not an appropriate statement. Because it wasn't just that he said this, he also said that when he first seized power in the 1980s, that he didn't need to remind anybody. We already know
And people,
that
mention
he
it every day.
gathered everybody he assumed was corrupt, locked them up, and said to them, "You are guilty until proven innocent." I mean, these kind of things are really discomforting to hear.
Yeah.
Because democracy means you respect the rule of law. In fact, the president derives his authority from the Constitution and the rule of law.
100.
What we should have expected him to be saying on his birthday is that he will respect court order, he will respect the democratic process, and not be complaining about the democratic process. In fact, let me refer to the interview with Professor Wole Soyinka, where he was saying that disobedience calls to disobedience. And that if government officials keep on, disobeying court order, they are inviting others to do the same. And that anarchy looms.
Just take over.
In fact, just follow our social media and you will see.
There's a video
You
there.
will see that statement
Interview.
later this morning.
But let's underline that the president ended that sentence by saying that he's too slow for his liking, but he has to follow it. So he's saying he doesn't have a choice. But he compared that with, like Rotimi has mentioned, the military rule where he could just pick people up.
It was unnecessary. He should have said, "I promise that henceforth rule of law will be followed, court order will be obeyed. I caution any officials that disobey court order in my name not to do so.
Right.
We are now in a democracy. I mean, those are the kind of things that we want to hear.
We're out of time, but
in fact, that we need to hear.
I need a brief comment from you on this one. On The Guardian, there's a headline here on the front page. Senate opposes kickoff of visa-free policy, probes closure of Nigerian businesses in Ghana. We had presidential media aide Ajuri Ngelale and also the NIS some days ago talking about the visa-free It's not a visa-free policy, actually.
It's visa on
It's
arrival.
visa on arrival.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's the Senate that's mistaken or the Guardian that's reporting this wrongly.
I think the Senate is not understanding the point.
Why don't they just ask themselves an understanding
Or,
first?
or maybe the problem is that the president unilaterally took this decision without
Well,
carrying
Senate-
all
But
that
it is
out to
an
the
execu-
government.
it's an executive.
The Senate is also within its rights to say we need to examine this
Yeah.
from the Senate. That's the work of the Senate, oversight.
Right.
So if the
But
president,
this headline, I think the Guardian should do better. This is not a visa-free policy.
it is not a
It's
visa
a
free.
visa
it
on
is visa
arrival.
on arrival.
They are very different.
The
things.
problem with that is that the president went abroad and made a statement.
Right.
And the Senate is saying you don't go abroad and make executive policy statements that are not backed by law. So, for instance, when is this supposed to take effect?
January.
And supported by which law?
No law.
The president's executive statement.
order. Yeah. We need to head out for a break now. We're really due for one, but there's some comments. Someone said to ask you on Twitter, Rotimi. He says, please help me ask Uncle Rotimi how principals look. I think he took that to heart. Maybe it's the principal.
What's the person's name?
His Twitter handle is Jamil.
Yeah,
More
Yami, what
smart.
did your school principal look like?
Do I look like what?
Yes.
No.
No,
Okay.
just check her out. The video is streaming.
I just have a
on
rose on
Facebook.
my top. I don't know.
You look
what
like
to-
a principal, actually.
Suddenly you think I look like a principal.
I'm just saying that now.
What do you look like?
With your earring and and that wristband, yes.
Okay, we're due for a break
And
now,
the
guys.
rose.
I
and-
refuse to be harassed by
and
this
the-
gentleman.
yeah.
I look amazing.
It's the formal,
But
very
they wear
formal look.
shirts. This is a top.
Yes, and like I said last week,
Yeah.
when Sheriff shocked the nation
The
by
entire country.
wearing a tie.
The entire country.
Yes,
I mean,
people were like, "What happened?"
what's going on?
Sheriff looked like a school principal. I said,
When we
you
come back,
ask him.
when we come back from the break, we're continuing our conversation on adoption and orphanages, foster homes, and where these babies come from and where do they land. Join us just after the break for this and more. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
I'm Sheriff Quadry.
From your #1 talk news and sports station. This is the Morning Crossfire with